I was reading that part of the general chapter in 1969 was the beginning of talking about the associate program.
Yes.
Can you share anything with that, how that came about, and the idea, and what others thought, and how you formulated that idea?
Yes, that chapter was very formative for us in many directions, but the whole idea of launching a way for people to be part of the community without making our vows started for me with a Futures Invention weekend we had, where we were invited to dream of something and then turn around and walk backwards 10 years to see what had to have happened to make this happen now. And the picture that came into my mind was that I was on a ship with all kinds of cultures and races, and there were a whole bunch of us all together, and we were all going to the same destination. So when I started to unpack that after the weekend, it fit what was happening coming from the general chapter. And so I really was kind of a spur to get us in Detroit to get serious about that. And we quickly formed a large committee of sisters and people who had been in the community before. And we were one of the first. I think we in New York and Chicago were the first. And of course, that's 51 years ago. And it happened very, well, the community was slow to catch on to it because it was something so new. But in terms of people who were interested, there was a big group, and it was pretty exciting. There were a lot of challenges because there were sisters who bucked it and didn't understand why you could be an associate and not take vows and all that. But it's one of the best committees that I've ever been on.
And with the ones who were slow to respond or didn't, or were concerned about associates not taking vows and not being the same thing, what kinds of things did you say, or did others say, to like alleviate that?
Well, what happened was we introduced them personally and individually to these associates, and they were men and women, married men, married women. And once they met them and could see what their motivation was, they gradually came on board, and a lot of them became mentors for those men and women to become associates.
Yeah. That's such a big part of understanding, is getting to know somebody on a personal level.
That's right. It makes all the difference. Yes.
And are there things that you can look back now on those early days and maybe see that it helped the program to grow, like something that you learned along the way? Or?
Well, we just kept meeting. We kept meeting regularly, and we developed geographic areas where sisters, associates, and their mentors would spend weekends together. So we started out right from the beginning that we were all together. We didn't do things separately. And those sharings created a bond in us, a very deep bond of understanding that each of us had a calling, and that the calling was from God, and it was about the people. It was about being with the poor, the sick, and the uneducated. And gradually, all of that began to become more natural and more stable. And I mean, right now we have a lot more associates than we have VOG members, and that was predictable.
Yeah.
So it became clear to all of us that God was doing something new in this. That this was a way for the charism to grow and stretch and reach many more people.
Yeah, it was really prophetic in that sense.
Yes, it was prophetic. And there's hardly a community of men or women right now who don't have something like association.
Yeah. Yeah, in those very early days when you had the idea and you were starting to develop it, how did you promote it to have people become an associate, or did people just find out and want to participate?
Well, we did develop promotional brochures, yes, and we did meet with people in different areas of Michigan. Uh, you know, it's the same thing like when I became the first vocation director for the community. I spent the first year going to every one of our missions in Michigan and Iowa and having a little workshop with the sisters, basically saying, okay, you're the people who are in touch with the people. So you're the vocation directors, and I'll just help you do this. So it became the same way with associates. We at our meetings, associates and sisters would invite other people who might be interested, and they came. And then if they wanted to start something, somebody would become their mentor, and then we would develop ceremonies, and it all evolved very beautifully. The Spirit of God was powerful in all of that.
Yeah.
And I'm just so proud to be part of that movement.
Yeah, you should be. It's a